Let me grab a file real quick. Hang out for a second. Look at my hand. Dumbass. All right, guys. We are testing out a new camera setup. I don't know if it's going to work out or not, but we're back out here on the AOD transmission for Fred. And we've got a bunch of new parts. We'll see if we can get this to cooperate. Yep. Filter, the pressure TV cable assembly with the extra parts, and then we have shifter linkage. Yeah, come on camera, down here. Let's see, let's dump it out. Shifter linkage with rod ends, and this, well, that camera is way over there. This piece here replaces, down here, that one right there. That's for our multi-placement of the shifter. You can adjust everything. We got a couple seals here. Then we have our gaskets. We got 2 of them for our valve body. That's their plate that goes in between, and that's what we were waiting on. I bought one thinking I just needed one. They sent me the wrong one, so I had to order the right one. So means we had both of them. We went ahead and took the plate off the valve body, and we have the other gasket under here. This is the gasket I was waiting on to come in, because this is the one on the top side. Yeah, goes between the transmission and the valve body because of the big holes here. They had that thing sealed in like Fort Knox on a splint gurney, pieces of wood and cardboard and taped and plastic. I thought I was going to damage it just trying to get it out, cutting it out there, but the other one just came in a bag, and I cannot believe it didn't get smashed and wrinkled up on transport here. But anyway, I went ahead and took these little pieces off, got the plate separated from the valve body, and we are in it now. Because there's plungers, springs, cups, balls, and I'm going to have to get all this old gasket material. Some of it is on the plate, some of it is on the valve body. We're going to have to get all that off and try not to get debris down in any of the valve body, and not to disturb all the little check balls and all that stuff, and get it reassembled with the new gaskets on it. I've got all the bolts laid out the way that they came out, because there are differences in them. Some are shorter, some are longer, some of them have threads all the way up to the head, some of them have threads just up to a certain point on the shank. But they're all the same size, pretty much. So I want to get to trying to get this gasket off here, and I won't bore you with all that. And this camera is supposed to follow me around, and it does for the most part. It does lose me a time or two. I should have had that turned on at the beginning, but I was trying to do the showing you the parts. So that camera doesn't work out so well holding it, showing the parts. Not the way I was doing it anyway. So, but I'm an idiot, so I'm still learning here. Okay, here we are. I have got the plate cleaned up, gasket scraped off of it. It actually had a little bit of rust on it from the goo that came out of this transmission from sitting around and getting moisture in it. Got that cleaned up, scraped down. Valve body, got that old gasket off of it, and it's all that stuff in the trash can. Tried not to disturb any of the springs, cups, the check balls. I got a pretty little orange one right there. A couple more over here. I'm going to attempt get the gasket out of the package, get it set on there, get the plate on, and I've got to clean up these other plates. I I really don't know what they do for sure, but underneath side they have little tracks to let oil go to certain passages, so you have to have them clocked right. And like I said before, took pictures on my phone, so I got that so I can orientate them the right way. And we'll go from there. We'll do a little more cleaning, get the gasket out. Be right back. Plate is installed. Got these dudes back in where they go. Everything's snug, torqued down. The only thing that concerned me was the gasket. Once I laid it on here, the holes, gasket overlaps the hole just a little bit. But everything goes in. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us. So that needs to go on the transmission now. And I'll clean my bolts up a little bit with some brake clean, but we got another gasket to take off. Yeah, we got to start scraping on this, get this out, and get the valve body back on. Then I'm going to have to do some rewinding in my brain, because it's been, what, month and a half? Like I said on the last video of this transmission. Take pictures. Luckily, I have video. I can go back and review how some of the stuff went. But you got to document some of this stuff so you remember, because you never know. It may be, like me, a month and a half putting this back together, and all them linkages and everything, that the doodads that hit these doodads, and yeah, we got to figure all that out. But we're just taking our time, not in a rush. Make sure, get my old gasket off, make sure this new gasket fits, not getting our hopes up, and then we'll go to the next step. Went ahead and grabbed the gasket out of the new package and laid it on here to make sure it appears to be correct. Don't mind that little guy right there. No, we'll just ignore that one. So I'm happy with that, but what? Well, we got more than one in here? Nope. There are 3. I don't know why. It only said 1, so we got 3 for the price of 1. Maybe we'll have to take this back off again. We got spares. All right, that's cool. Original Ford part. I don't know if it meant to put 3 in the package, but there's 3 in there. Okay, I think I got everything bolt-wise back in. The valve body, the gasket laid on the transmission body appears to be correct. Got all the old gasket cleaned off of it. Try to get this over here without dropping anything. Get stuff lined back up. All right, this one bolt right here in the corner, it's giving me a little fits. I think, yeah, it's just the alignment of the plate on the bottom of the, or the top of the valve body. So I had kind of threaded in there, so that's the only one I had issue with. So I'm going to start all these by hand, not with this. Try to get them started by hand so I don't send anything home and chew up threads, damage anything. And then we'll go to this problem child in the corner. Quit raining outside, by the way. Sun came out. So that's nice. Make that grass grow really fast. Probably need to mow at the end of the day. Actually, I need a weed eat before I mow. Been putting that off, procrastinating. All right. Not missing anything? Nope. This can all be done in the vehicle. It is a major pain in the ass to do in a vehicle. I did it a couple years ago in the YJ, The thing's always kind of shifted kind of slow and sluggish. So I'm going to put a shift kit in it. Ordered a, I think I see the box there, Transdap, whatever, B&M, whatever brand it is. I bought the shift kit for it. Did it out here in the carport. For whatever reason, I didn't do it in here. Well, the carport has a blood stain in the middle of the gravel. It will not go away from that transmission. Because it just sits there and drains and drains and drips on you. Anyway, I put that shift kit in there. Usually a shift, from what I've learned, shift kit is basically this plate that sits between the valve body and the transmission housing. They give you a different plate to go in there, and different springs and plungers or balls that go in certain places. And I don't remember what else I had to do. Something about maybe drilling something out or something. Anyway, did all that. Filled her up with fluid. Drove it down the road. Wouldn't shift out first gear. Took it back apart. Checked everything. Back together. Still won't shift. So I took it back apart, third time, put it back together stock, shifts. Then I did find somebody had been in that transmission before, and the valve body looks a little bit different than this one. You have a set of, like these areas where plungers are, it's a lot different. But somebody had taking this apart where the plunger goes in. It would have a stem in there and spring and stuff. Well, there was no stem. There was a bolt, a 1/4-inch bolt in there for the stem. Alrighty. So I cannibalized another C6 I have over in the barn and got the right parts out of it and put in the one in the YJ. But I did get it to shift a little bit better and put a new modulator valve on it and adjusted on it. And it does shift a little bit better. It's still not where I want it to be, but I'm sure there's a torque sequence on these, but it's good enough for me. I'm missing a bolt. That's not good. Oh, that's probably, I know why. The bracket goes on there. Yeah. Yep. That's why it's missing a bolt. Don't get worked up over it. Get these all snugged, and we'll start figuring out our linkages. Going to attempt to put new seal in the side of the transmission for the shifter shaft. But something you need to do when you put seals in like this, the outer casing is metal on this, and this is metal too, aluminum. Needs some kind of sealant on it. What I typically use is Loctite. You don't need very much of it. Just kind of dab it around the outside. It won't be perfect, but this is one of the things you don't want to mess with once you get it in and you discover it's leaking. Went and got my little pecker. You don't need a big pecker for this job. You just need a little one. There we go. What do I do? There it is. Proper socket. Maybe we need the bigger socket. Next side's up. Clean the debris off of it. Will that work? Bottomed out. That's for the shifter shaft. The new seal. The new shifter piece we got is gold anodized. It has a seal inside here, but it is vulcanized rubber around it. That should seal without putting any Loctite like I just did the other one. But this pushes in so easy by hand, I was kind of worried about it. So I took the gray RTV, put just a little dab on my finger and rubbed around the inside of the hole and pushed the seal in. We're going to let that sit up for a little bit. That'll help seal that up good. And this does not come with a nut. You reuse your original nut, and it would not thread on here. Felt like it was wrong pitch of thread. So took it over to the wire wheeled in the threads of this shifter bracket or linkage, whatever you want to call it. Now I can get it threaded on there. That anodized was pretty rough. So I got it out of the threads, and I also took Scotch-Brite and shined this up because this right here is where your seal is going to ride. So I had to shoe shine that a little bit, get that slicked up. This shaft goes in the transmission, and that's what this little seal seals on, is this shaft here. So we're going to get this in the transmission where it's supposed to be, and then this will go in. We'll get all our seals and everything lubed up real good before we do that. All right, we got our little shaft. Don't forget your nut that goes in here. We'll try to get this all in the right orientation. It's going to take a little finagling, I believe, to get all this to go back in its home. Just lay there for now. Got our shifter linkage. I got just a little bit of assembly lube on it to help it go past our seals. Hopefully we can get this together. It's probably one of the things you have to take apart. Try to assemble and take apart a couple times. That's in there. And the end of this shifter linkage has a cog, little flats on it that lines up with this leg. This other bracket in here. So you got to get all that lined up just right. And I didn't test fit it to make sure it worked. That was my bad. Assume that it's right. You know what assuming does. Makes an ass out of you and me. So, like I said, we'll have to take it back apart a few times. Should have tested this before. It does not fit. Does it fit 180 around there? Nope. Great. Let's grab the factory one. It is over here. That's the factory one. It's got your linkage on it. And it goes right in. Yep. Goes right in there. Pretty snug fit. These little flats right here is what goes into that bracket. And you can tell on this one, the original one, it has a little bit of a machine step in it. This new one, aftermarket, does not. Not saying I couldn't run that nut down once I get everything together and thread this nut on there. Not saying that it wouldn't pull it in there. I don't really want to try that. Let's do some measuring before we start ramming stuff. Got the old dial calipers out. New one measures 7.738. The old one, 740. But where it's machined down is 735. So we've got 3 thousandths difference just on this little edge right here going in this bracket. Thing is, it doesn't want to lock in. So we're going to do a little modifying. And I'll come back and show you. Think I've got it figured out. Went ahead and took this piece out of the transmission. These flat spots, that area around it is 3 thousandths too big, so it won't go in to the slots in here. So what I did, I took my little drum sander and I put more of a chamfer on it right here, so it would actually show me where the slots are. It'd kind of engage a little bit. And looking at it now, like I said, I need to do something else. But anyway, I got it to engage a little bit in that slot. So I took the nut, put it on the back side, and I tightened it down and drawed it in. And it'll go in there fine. But now that I got it back out, I could see my slots have a little bit of scarring on them where it went on. It's scarred by these little tabs here. I'm just going to hit it with a file real quick, and then we'll slide this all back in to where it's supposed to go. All right, I'm going to try this again. A little bit of assembly lube. Wipe it on our part here. Remember all this stuff. I need to get you guys in here so you can see a little bit of something going on. That goes in there. That wiggles in there. This piece goes in here. Easy on the seal. Oh no. Yep, we done messed that up. Stop. Abort. The spring came off the seal. Here we go again. Take her back apart. Get the proper tool, get our spring in. Dang it. Stay there. Oddly enough, my dog is laying right there, being a good boy. Oh, spring back in. Oh, nut down in the transmission. Stay together. Be easy on the seal, buddy. How does a guy get that wrench in there? That's going to be a trick. May need to modify our wrench. Drawn up on there where we modified that slot. I just can't get my wrench back out. And we gotta have to have that tight. It's doing the thing though. What operates that deal? Oh, that's your kick down stuff. Let me go look for a wrench that I can cannibalize for this job. Be right back. Like I was saying earlier, I'll probably have to take this apart 15 times to get everything right. And I had to cannibalize one of my good wrenches because I can't find an old 13/16 anywhere that I can cannibalize. Out of all my tool bags and vehicles and everything, I have every wrench but 13/16. So I had to grind this one down, you can see on the sides, so it would fit down in here on that nut, that gold nut down there. Got it all in, tightened down, and forgot the spring. Yep, there's a spring, goes right here. See, it goes here, it wraps, the shaft comes underneath this bracket and it wraps around it and it hooks in right there. So I had to take all this back apart, not all the way, just slide it apart so I can get that spring on the end of that shaft and hooked in here, looped up here, got the nut all tightened back down. We've got park, verse, neutral, all the way to first. So we've got everything working here. This has, you can clock your shifter linkage any which way that works for you. That's what this piece is. And then it will go on. No directions came with my parts because I cheaped out and bought the Chinese stuff instead of a low car. I wasn't spending that much money on this. I'll figure it out. But this goes on that bracket like so. You can move it wherever you need to. Once it's on there, that's for all your gears. This piece here is the factory linkage for your kick down. Does that jobby right there. That hooks into your throttle. And that's what that spring's for. Hopefully I got that spring in there right. By my pictures, it looks right. So anyway, that'll take a little finagling once we get it in the truck. The last thing I have to do to finalize this is this little hole right here. There's a roll pin that goes in there and it keeps this piece from walking back and forth. So we got to get that in there before we forget. And that piece is right here in my magnetic tray. And I started wondering what the hell these other 3 bolts are for. And I was like, oh no, that is, I remembered, it holds your filter. Your filter sits right here, goes there. Those 3 bolts go there, there, and there. So got that figured out. So gonna install said roll pin with my little pecker. I don't think it matters which way it goes. This way looks like it'll work. Oh. Doesn't take much. Leave enough of it sticking up. We can, when we have to take it back out because I forgot something, we can still grab onto it with our pliers and pull it out. Because that's how I got it out originally, was pliers and pulled on it, I think. So now that won't go in and out. Good. We are ready for filter. Then we'll be ready for the pan. And I believe this right here is the park mechanism. Let's see if it moves. Wrong way, dummy. Yep. That takes you out of park, and now it's in park. This little egg-shaped deal pushes down on this lever for park. Let me get the filter out of the box and see if we can get it mounted on there. Fill tray is out of the box. It has a seal on it right here. And then it has another opening here where a gasket goes on there. Luckily, this filter has a little bit of a raised portion right here that you can put that gasket on and it'll hold it. Because if you were putting it if you were changing this filter in the vehicle, luckily that has that raised part, because if not, I don't know how you would keep it in place and know it's in the right spot if it was upside down. Because you don't want to put RTV on that. Maybe you could put a little dab of some kind of cement or something on it to hold it up in there, but luckily we're in good shape here. Put a little bit of lube on this seal to get over this raised portion on the valve body. So let's put her on. We'll easily work it down on the nipple. Do you say nipple? Yep. Sun's out and it's got hot. We got fan on. We'll blow our bolts off. But you can lay back down. We ain't going nowhere. All right, do we want to impact those down or we just want to run them down? We'll impact them. Might as well. Break them right off. Get off there. Easily. Yep. As far as we want to go with the impact. What are we going to do next? We're going to put the pan on? Yeah. I think we ought to put the pan on it. Because I think everything is, well, let's go ahead and put our little shifter linkage on first. Get it mocked up. Make sure it works. What do we got? Allen's, really? I guarantee they're metric. Because why not? Everything else is metric on this damn thing. Maybe we're not metric. Nope. Not that one. It is a 3/32. Yep, 3/32. Small little dude. Like I say, it's just for mock-up purposes. I don't know where the shifter is going to land, what we're going to have to do there. This is just for mocking up purposes. Because we are definitely going to have to modify the shifter linkage from the column. And that's what the rod ends or hind joints, rod ends, whatever you're going to call them. That's what they're for over there. And an extra piece of linkage rod. Gonna have to build custom stuff. I'm hoping not to cannibalize what is already in the truck. The C4 and the linkage and all that stuff. So if we get this in there and it doesn't work and it's going to be major repairs, we can possibly go back to the way it was. So if we can keep all our factory stuff intact, just take it out. That's what we'll do. I would say that would be pretty close. We may have to move it one bolt hole over once we get it in the truck. But to me, that looks pretty good. There's that little seal that I put the vulcanization cream on. Now we will get our kick down linkage, see if it fits. Oh yeah, it fits nice. That fits nice. I'll bring it back in and show you. And we're just gonna snug this down. That's how that factory linkage sits in there. And it will pull on it. Yeah, it'll sit like this, and then when you gas it, it'll pull down on it. And there's a special way to adjust all that stuff. We'll go through that later, and I'll have to research a little bit more on it, but there's certain PSI that this is supposed to run at pressure wise, because you can burn these up pretty easy, I think, what they say. But there are 3 plugs right here. Supposed to take the center one out, and it's I believe that's an 1/8 inch MPT thread, and we will take that plug out and thread in a oil pressure gauge. Will end up going in there, but we'll put the fitting in there and run a line up to the engine bay or cab or whatever, so we can see what that pressure is once we get it in and start it up and everything. And the way you adjust that pressure is with this linkage. The cable goes from here up to the engine while it's idling. It's supposed to be able to adjust. That cable has got adjustment in it, so you can pull on this and that adjusts your pressure. So let me grab the pan. We'll get that on here. Here's the pan, gasket, now I've had this gasket sitting on the pan for a while, because when you get them, they come all folded up. They don't like to lay down real well. So if you got the time, lay it out, let it naturally take its shape back. Get all our bolts started here. And then we're going to have to get these tightened down. We're going to go in and get some lunch. I've got a stromboli from the other night left over calling my name. This fat boy has got to eat, doesn't he, Ranger? Huh? Fat boy got to eat. All right, now we get the ratchet. Torque to a specific torque spec. The old battery's on red. Gotta put her on charge. It just doesn't hold up like it should. Bought some of them cheap batteries a while back. They ain't worth a damn either. All right, we're good enough there. Good enough, buddy. There you have it. It even says metric on it. You read that? Un-American. All right. If you remember, we couldn't get this out. That's going to plague us later on when we go to put the dry shaft in it. We will have to install the dry shaft U-joint while it's in the truck. But I did do some measuring the other day when I had Fred in here. I did do some measuring on the length from the U-joint and had the yoke where it needed to be. Measured my transmission, the drive shaft, and all that stuff. And I think we're going to work out pretty damn good and not have to do any kind of modifications on the drive shaft. As far as lengthwise, I think we're going to be good. So I'm going to wash my hands up and go in and eat me some lunch, and we'll come back and try to change that seal out. Now we got it. Yep, messing with a new, different camera. All right. Seal removal tool. We're going to take its front seal out. Try to anyway. Oh. Oh. Don't tear up my little screwdriver. Don't want to break the handle on it. There, got him. Come on. Let's work it out. There you go. Got him out. I did confirm this fits on the torque converter. It should fit right in here. Excuse me. Yep, it fits. We'll put a little bit of Loctite on there. Just a dab will do you. Smear that around. Hopefully we can get this hammered in with it on the engine stand. Might be a challenge. Find out real quick. Hard to get my little pecker in there. Maybe we'll try that. Ruin it. I'm happy with that. Yeah, I don't want to mess with the camera much anymore, but front seal's in it. I'm going to clean up on the torque converter. Sitting right there. The sealing surface is a little bit rusty. We're just going to take our Scotch-Brite pad, clean her up, and then clean the studs up where the nuts go on. They're a little rusty, but back to what I was talking about a while ago. So rudely interrupted with the SD card getting full. Seals in, cleaned up the sealing surface on the torque converter, cleaned up the torque converter studs, had to run a die down them to get the 3/8 24 nut to go on it. Got that finalized. This is our box of parts that we have left. This is the shifter linkage. This will go from the column to the transmission selector on the side. That end is threaded. This end is just the straight rod cut off because the Heim joint, you got this one, goes on that end. It's got a little bit of adjustment and jam nut. Then you have your bolts for each Heim joint on the ends. This Heim joint here is for the cut end. They left it raw there so you can cut it to fit your application. And that's what this piece is for. Your other Heim joint, you have this piece here, your rod slips in it there. And you have 2 set screws. Get it slipped in there, tighten them down, figure out your length that you need, cut it, finalize it, put it in there. Pretty neat. I like it. My mind might change once I get it in there, fiddling with it. And then we have our cable, TV cable, kick down cable, whatever. That has its own bracket on it right here that attaches to the linkage or the stud on the transmission, so we will not need the factory piece. That piece will take place of that. That's cool. And it bolts down. Maybe it doesn't bolt down. I don't know. Yeah, it's got a little bracket on the cable here that'll go somewhere on the transmission to keep that stationary. And then we got our dipstick tube. I believe that's it for today. We've got some weed eating mowing to do and whatever else. But it's going to do it on the transmission today. I appreciate you guys watching. Ranger thanks you. He's had a good day. He's got his ball, so he's happy. His mommy's back home. And she went and got her toes did. So we'll catch you guys on the next one. See you. Bye. Go. Bye. Tell them bye. Tell them bye. Say bye, guys. Bye.